So, Aburo Boy Boshishe, Lori Awo, Ianipa, Ilia Dingbe, Iyadudu Temple, uh, Echo Oshe Ogun Oshosi. Um, the Obi from Ifa was Iraiku and Ire Aiku with Alafia over the next 4 days. Today, I would like to discuss about the elephants in the room, right? So, Ifani, I am,
I
I
am
Ashe,
Ashe
Ogunda D,
Ogunda D.
would that be
he who finds the meat
He
who
finds the meat
of the elephant in the market
of
of
the
the
elephant
elephant
in
in
the
the
market
market
can never appreciate
can never
can never
appreciate
appreciate
the worth of an elephant.
the
the
worth of
works
another.
of an elephant.
He who consumes the elephant
He
He who
who
consumes the elephant
can never understand its value.
can
can
never
never
understand its
understand its
value.
value.
Those who never witness
Those who never
Those who
witness
never witness
the wrath of Ogun,
the wrath
the
of all.
wrath of Ogun,
they are the one
they are the ones
who slap the elephant on the buttocks.
Who
that
slapped the
slap the
elephant
elephant
on the
on the
buttock.
buttock.
The elephant is certainly an animal
The elephant is certainly
Elephant
an
is
animal
simply a monkey
which destroys people's lives.
which
which
destroys
destroys
people's lives.
people's lives.
He files a message
He finds a message
Defies message
for Ewegbemi,
for
for
Ewegbemi,
Ewegbemi,
the offspring of
the offspring
offspring
of
of
Awuja Le,
Awuja,
Awuja, Igle,
no E, but Le,
Ile,
Awuja Le
Awuja,
Ogujale,
Benny. When he was in the midst of wants
when he was
when
in
he was in the midst
midst
of
of wants,
wants,
and he was surrounded by enemies.
and
and
he
he
was
was
surrounded by
surrounded by
enemies.
enemies.
He was advised to offer a bow.
He was
He was
advised
advised to offer Ebo.
He complied.
he
He
complied.
complied.
What did Shango use
What did
What
Shango
did Shango use
to destroy his enemies?
to
to
destroy his
destroy his enemies?
Plenty of pebbles
plenty of
Plenty of
pebbles?
pebbles
is what Shango used
What
is what
Shango used
Shango used
to destroy his enemies.
to
to
destroy his
destroy his enemies.
I say why?
Ashe,
Ashe.
ashe, ashe, ashe.
That took a turn, huh? That took a turn, right? It's Odu E5, right? Lets us know certain things, right? So we can hear of the leopard. We can hear of the tiger, right? Even in the warmer Sobe, there's a. It's why we tie the animal, right? Because of challenges. But here we can see that something very different is happening with the elephant. So, what are some things that the elephant is known for? Right? Memory, right? The elephant is known for memory, strength, and grace, right? It may not be a comfortable ride, but it's an elevated one. If I tells us that there are those sometimes buying and selling on your destiny, right? It's like they got your destiny on a stock exchange. And today the price might be high, tomorrow the price might be low, right? But it's saying that it's for sale, right? The meat of the elephant, right? It's for sale in the market. So they never appreciate the worth of an elephant. So the thing that you're doing, the place that you're going, right? The big person you are, you know what your destiny says. You know how you feel. You know about your hopes. You know about your dreams. You know about your aspirations. You know about all these things, right? So you know it's got to be something greater. It's instilled in you, right? Because this universal consciousness will not allow you to sleep on it. This mission, this thing, even like what Ifa Tucson said about the ancestors and them coming from heaven and earth, this is you. This is us. Are they negotiating on your demise? It could be, right? Ifa says that it's not anybody, right, in particular. It's just the way it is. That even the thing that they do, they thinking of one need or another instead of the respect. If I said, don't take it personal. Again, right? We get that. That's the same message over and over, right? But it's telling us because it's talking about transacting business. We can see it, right? When, oh, well, Baba, I didn't kill the chicken. Or, you know, I can eat chicken. I ain't eat, I didn't kill the chicken, right? Where it say don't throw stones at birds, right? Don't kill birds. Osag, Aturgasa, right? So because you didn't kill the bird don't mean you can't eat it. Yes, but here it's saying that even facilitating the death, right? Buying the meat, the willingness to buy the meat, the willingness to do the thing, right? Just in and of itself is not appreciating the worth, the value of this thing. This Ifa is one of those Ifas that it tell us to be thankful for the lack of respect because ultimately it can lead to other challenges. It can lead to other challenges. He who consumes the elephant can never understand its value, right? It tells us again, right? It's twofold. So all the things that we can get from the elephant, all the things that the elephant symbolizes, strength and grace, power and wealth, powerful, slow movement, being able to traverse any terrain, right? Water, it could be mountainous, it could be even some long trek that the elephant will help us to navigate. Who the elephant in the room? Who the elephant? We see it in the Odu E5 where it discussed growth, the growth of the elephant. How much growth have you been through? What ways are you still growing in? It tells us again back to the first two lines of the verse that it is not going to be appreciated and valued by others. Your discipline, your integrity, your honesty, your commitment. It may not be valued by others. That people may not appreciate the things you build and the things you do, but if I says continue, right, we still have to continue like the elephant. The elephant can seem, insensitive, right? Does the elephant smile? No. I've never seen an elephant smile. I probably that'd be something I like to see. Elephant smile. Let me see some of y'all smile. I'll settle for that. If I said that there are people that will recognize it, that there's support for you in the thing that you're doing, that you should continue to grow and move forward. As the elephant grows, it gets bigger. right? It not only gets bigger, it gets wider, it gets longer. In these very visible ways, right, we'll be able to see your growth. If I says, don't worry, continue to grow. Can't really stop the growth of the elephant. Your growth can't be stopped. Our growth can't be stopped. It says that some will continue to do things because they have not seen the wrath of Ogun. Why is Ogun important? Right? It's certain things that are sacred, certain values, right? Certain agreements, certain norms, there's rules, right? There's obligations and commitments. These things must be followed, right? And so sometimes we can avoid judgment. But it's one day, right? Overconfidence comes, right? It's like slapping the elephant on the butt. Slap the elephant on the butt, ain't no telling what's gonna happen. I don't know if they kick like horses though. You know, I don't know if they kick like horses, but nonetheless, I don't want to be there. So it's funny, right? Because when I was researching some of the things about this Odu file, right? The next line is the elephant is certainly an animal which destroys people's lives. So side note, well, let me finish the verse first, because then it'll make sense. So if I message to Ewegbemi, right? It's herbs support me. The offspring of Awuja is is Awuja le is the term, but Awuja is king, is Oba, more or less. But in Ijebu, the Ijebu land, it's in Ogun state. So it helps us to know that helps us to understand about the wrath of Ogun, right? Because Ijebu is in Ogun state. So if I was you to Ewegbemi, the offspring of Awujale, sorry, when he was in the midst of war and he was surrounded by enemies, he was advised to offer, but he complied. What did Shango use to destroy his enemies? Plenty of pebbles was what Shango used to destroy his enemy. So here, right, we get to see a couple of things, right? We get to see it talks about being appreciated and valued, right? These two things, right? They go hand in hand. So to appreciate something and to value something, we can see how that's relevant with Ogun, right? And his tools. Whether they're those tools that are outside of us or those tools that are inside of us. We know that we should be fashioning both. We should be building our skills, right? We should be doing our prayers, right? We should be consuming the Ifa, right? And doing introspection and working in our shadows, understanding our motivations behind things, right? And another way, right, is investigating, what was it? Investigating the ocean, right? Looking through our emotions, right? Are we patient enough, right, with our emotions? Are we patient enough with our actions? Are we patient enough? Again, right, like the elephant, this slow moving thing, right? It's coming. So just like our progress is coming, right? It's moving forward. It's this unstoppable force. So is the wrath of Ogun. If I says that we don't have to worry about avenging ourselves from any slight, it's quite the contrary, right? because based on this divine plan, based on this movement forward, based on this growth, right, we can no longer be in the place that they were. Because you've healed, because you've changed, because you've learned, right? This is the growth of the elephant. You can't downsize the elephant. It just continues to get bigger. It continues to move forward. It can't be uh, impeded upon. Continue to work on yourself, you know, even if there's disrespect. Continue to move forward. The elephant don't probably look behind, right? It's probably just gonna kick you. This is the behavior of those that's elevated. So what's important, right, is that in this king's court, right, elephants are a part of, you know, the decor. But what do the elephants symbolize, right? The elephant has two tusks and all that other kind of stuff. It got 4 legs and 2 ears and 2 eyes and all that other kind of stuff, right? We can see in this Odu, right, that it tells us about wealth and power. Wealth and power. It discusses two powerful Orisha, the wrath of Shango, right, and the wrath of Ogun and the pebbles of Shango. Both of these Orisha have two pathways. Again, we can see that type of energy, right? That double energy, that double blessing, right? That appreciation and value. You see Ogun and Shango. We can see the elevation with Awuja, the Oba and Ijebu. What's crazy is that in July of this year, some of the elephants got out of the enclosure and killed somebody. It's crazy. June of this year. Anybody want to read the article? They can. I'll send you the link. But it's not something that we hear of, right? So it's those random events that are not so random. But it's really not that anybody want anybody that face any kind of physical harm, right? But it just tells us about the movement. It warns us about being in the front of something that's bigger than us. So we discuss different animals and their archetypes and how we can apply those. What character traits do we want to take from the animal, right? The leopard, we had that. We can see how that's useful in some times and not in others, right? You can see it in Oyeku with the leopard as well, right? When he and the dog were after each other in animosity, right? Those things again with, Ogun and Shango, right? This back and forth. This Odu E5 says, but here is something that they both stand on. You can see that they both stand on it, right? The wrath of Ogun combined with the sorcery, if you will, or the consequence or the protection of Shango. This duality again. If I says that those where this Odu is revealed are elevated people. They're the elephant in the room. It's fact, right, that when you get the elephants together, they can't be held back. So we offer the offerings for this Odu And as it is a reminder for all of us to keep moving forward, even if we not appreciate it, even if you undervalue, even if they've done things behind your back, even if they assaulted you in some way, you have to remember who you are. That is your growth that is frightening because it can't be stopped. Ashe. Questions, concerns, comment. Anyone? Oh, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Even I'm gonna start calling on people. Mm.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say being in front of something that's bigger than us, what did you mean by that?
Um, say, ask me again.
When you said being in front of something that's bigger than us, what did you mean by that?
So it's destiny, right? There's nothing bigger than destiny. There's no one Orisha. There's no lifestyle. There's no spouse. There's nothing, right, bigger than one's destiny. So all those things that I just mentioned are things that we can see about our destiny. But like what you do with your life, who you affect, right? Those intangible things are a part of one's destiny as well. So in a sense, right, those things being larger, there's a bigger plan that each one of us, all of us together, each one of us individually are a part of. Right? It's true you're a part of your community. That's a larger plan. You know? So that's the thing. You can't see. It's bigger than us. We just have, how many people in the world? We talked about how many birds there were. Let's just say it's 7 billion trillion people in the world, if that's a word. 7 billion trillion, right? And so we are one drop in the bucket. But so it can seem like our actions are inconsequential. It's if I says that they are not. Right? Is things that the elephant will take with it where it goes. Right? That's the purpose of the elephant. To take people and things with it. So even though like you and your families and you and your community, they may not be EFI practitioners. But thanks to you, they know somebody that is. So then that allows them a certain type of access. It may not be today that they need the EFI reading, right? It may be 5 years from now that they may need the EFI reading. Well, what has happened is in that time you've grown your knowledge, right? You've worked on yourself because you followed what EFI says. What things I gotta let go now? What things I can't eat now? What energy do I need to be in now to manifest, right? You started that process already. You've started the growth already. But the elephant only sees itself as the baby elephant. That's the thing. So we have to see ourselves and we have to see our growth, right? Because there are people out there who would try to deny it. It's not for them. They see it. That's why they're saying something. They're gonna say things like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." They're gonna say things like, "I don't believe in that." They're gonna say these things, right? But keep growing like the elephant. There's certain things the elephant can't do until it's full grown. Aha. Baby elephant can't carry one of us. It has to grow, right? Then it can carry two of us and all our junk. But it has to grow into that. That's the agreement. That's the agreement. Anybody else? Ojubona?
Ifatusin had a question. Let me pull it up in a second. Her question was, can we reroute our destiny?
You can delay the hell out of it. So if you're supposed to get to a certain point on a certain road and you never take the road, this is the purpose of Itefa, right? To help us to make sure we don't miss the road. You know? So what happens, right? Even in a woman's Sokbe, which was the verse you said earlier, it discusses taking directions, right? Sometimes we can miss the road and then we have to turn around. We have to get help because we going on that journey alone. We seen it in the Tour Pundi, right? The father of the elephant is the elephant. The mother of the elephant is the elephant. The child of the elephant is the elephant. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Is is this Odu Ifa came and it's our Itadogun, and we've offered Ebo for it. So we can say certain things, right? But if we take the verse and we apply it literally, and we apply the verse literally, right? So if I'm the father and I'm an elephant, would that make you? Anybody?
Elephant.
Everybody.
Elephant.
Elephant.
Right? That's what the Odu Ifa say. You offered it both for it. You offered it both for it. You offered it both. You said the father of the elephant is the elephant. I'm a father. I'm Baba. That's what it means, right? I give birth to spiritual elephant. Great destinies, right? I'm just saying, if we look at the verse, I'm not trying to say it's me over E5. It's E5, of course, but it's I have to do the work. Oh yeah, no, the elephants nurture and all that kind of stuff too. The elephants have to conceive or give birth to the thing, right? Of course, the mother of the elephant is the elephant. Who's the mother? Let me see by a show of hands. The mamas ain't raising their hand. All of y'all ain't here mothers. So I'm gonna say this: y'all the big dog or the little dog? Let me know. Y'all the big elephant or the baby elephant? Let me know. Y'all big elephant. Y'all big people in y'all family. You big people in your community, right? Today and tomorrow. You giving birth to elephant. Wisdom, strengths, discipline, focus, determination. This is what you gave birth to when you gave birth to your children. The verse said you didn't cast the E5. Baba cast the E5. You was like, yep. I say, yeah, I feel that one, but you offered a bow, right? So you have to recognize those things about yourself. Why is it important, right? Because you got other elephants that you are nurturing. This is a different perspective. It's a different perspective. It's telling you to be proud of your accomplishment, be proud of your discipline, be proud of your movement. It's been slow, it's been steady, but keep going. You're growing in the process, even if you can't see your own growth. Others see your growth, and this is why we experience some of the things that we experience, but because they're checking our growth. We said we didn't change. Now we're gonna be put to the test. We say Ashe. on to the next one. If I say don't worry about them, it's gonna be mental, Shango, things stuck in the head. Ashe, uh,
Sakai and Sula has two questions.
okay.
The first question is, why does Destiny feel so lonely? And I'll go ahead and say the second one because you probably can. They actually piggyback off each other. So the second one was, how does one gauge growth without second guessing themselves and wind up delaying one's destiny? So that, along with why does Destiny feel so lonely?
Destiny doesn't feel lonely. All right. So we all get a time to play around. Right. We all get a time to do what we want. You think about it, right? Before you came to E5, before you did your reading, before you learned these concepts, right? You're moving around with really, even if you have some awareness about destiny, you didn't really know how to get on that path. It was just a feeling. You wasn't being guided. You wasn't being told this thing is good, that thing is not. Don't do this thing. This is what it looks like, right? But that's only external, right? You the only one in your body for a reason because you the only one that's meant to walk that road, right? And when we receive guidance on the way, we have to. It helps us. It helps us to recognize certain things. How are we going to be beneficial to someone else if we're not beneficial to ourselves? How will we be able to um, help other people change their energy, right? If we haven't changed ours, we have to look at our own motivation. Those things from our childhood and past lives that we agree or don't agree with, how does that affect our decision making today? Again, right? Remember those four agreements. Those agreements we make, those decisions we make as children or teenagers or in our youth based on our circumstance. Think about it, right? I'm just saying, right? Men who don't trust women, women who don't trust men, right? How would you ever move forward? So what happens is it becomes a barrier between you and the opposite sex. So that when you're in these different situations, because you can't escape it, you've created a barrier intentionally. Our circumstance tells us there doesn't need to be a barrier, but we create them anyway. So we have to revisit these things, right? We have to see that we've made it through those things, right? That's why we're here today, because we made it through those past things. So once we're able to sit with ourselves, right? Because other people will take the focus off of what we need to do for ourselves. Your Ori is the only thing it tells us. Your Ori is the only thing that will stay with you. Tell us in Ejiogbe, tell us in Ofun Meji, tell us in Ireti Meji, it tells us in pretty much every Odu. Your Ori is the thing that will stick with you from the beginning of time to the end of time. So everybody's in the same boat pretty much. It's just about how we see ourselves. What was the second part, Ojibona? Did I answer both?
To a certain degree, but I'll just say it so in case you want to say anything else. How does one gauge growth without second guessing themselves and wind up delaying one's destiny?
So if I speak well about those who offer Ebo and those who do not. So you can spend your money on the sacrifice, but not follow the character taboos and things like that and receive challenges. It's like if I said that it's like we have never offered the Ebo, right? So, you know, if the Ifa says don't steal, you offer the Ebo because you already had challenges of stealing on some level. And then you do it again after you've offered that Ebo. It's just like you didn't offer the ebo at all. So it's objective, right? The growth is objective, right? Other people will be able to see it in us before we see it in ourselves, typically, right? On a physical way. But right, even when you um, articulate the change, right, you should be able to see it. You say, "Oh, I don't want to do that no more. Oh, that's wrong." Even if you still do it again, right? You've already kind of like instituted a change. It's the recognition is the change, right? So we will undergo the internal change, but it's not going to be visible by someone else until the change manifests, right? Coming from heaven to earth, right? From our thoughts, heaven, to our hand or our action, or our whatever, right? From heaven to earth, it's manifest. So it's all about what we choose to manifest. Everything that manifests in Ifa manifests in the physical, right? So there's other people that will recognize our change, and you will recognize the change even in your thinking, right? That's easier than change than feeling, right? Because you can feel compelled to one way or another, or one thing or another, but still do something else. So you have to undergo the change in your mind first, in your heart, and then it'll manifest. So, I think that's how you can recognize. Are there any other questions?
Yes, we have a question here from Ethan. When it comes to you trying to fix all of the things, but it tells us to, but we don't accomplish it within the time period. I don't understand the question here. When
I
it
do. He's saying
okay.
like if it tell us to do something, what we have a time period and we don't. So again, right? It's not really. Sometimes it's time sensitive, right? There's these destiny events or things, right? That's outside of your control. But as long as you change it in your mind, right, the change has already begun. So whether the physical change has taken place or the mental, emotional one, the spiritual change has already taken place, it just takes time. And so this is why E5 preaches patience, right, and being supported, and even in this Odu E5 talks about community. It's more than one elephant, right? So it's got to be talking about this is wisdom that can be applied to all elephants. But again, right, they stampede. So it shows that the movement of the elephant. But there was a decision that was made, and it took them time to get from one place to another. It took them time to get from the enclosure, right? Once they made the decision to leave, right, they just went on whatever course, whatever guided them, right? Iyami, other spirits that can, you know, incarnate inside the elephant. And so, like, but we're gonna see the change, right? And it's JJ. It's bit by bit that we chew the head of the rat, right? Things happen in steps. So as long as like if I keep giving us longevity, right, it means that we're doing good on the changes we make, right? That we've kind of like learned it. Once you learn how to ride the bike, you'll never forget. So you can just ride the bike anywhere. Doesn't make a difference what state, what road, what city, what country. You can take that skill on the road. Anybody else? Baba.
No other question inside of the chat.
I say, you got any questions?
Can you explain why it is beneficial to wear a head covering or hat when one goes out into public and is outside the domain of their home?
Ogunda Kete. Ogunda Kete. So we know that Ifa in a way is a class system, right? You got uh Abarisha, you got Olorisha, you got Babalarisha or Ilarisha, right? Then above that, you have these other different titles or things like that. So not everybody is at the same level, right? There's certain things you just wouldn't share with people that are in a sense um, less educated or mature in the subject. But there has to be organization. So because of the organization, because of um, um, giving certain information, right, as a person is able to receive it, right, we wear our head covered. So you're like, well, what that got to do with anything, right? It's about our destiny. Sometimes we can share even our thoughts, our feelings, things like that, our intelligence with the wrong people. And those things can set obstacles in our path. So, right, we can see it when we go from one place to another again, right? If I went from one place to another and there may be obstacles or delays in the road, it's best, right? Because we try to get to our destination in a timely manner. So there's things that we have to do in order to protect our Ori, right? Because things move with energy. Ogunda Kete is one of those Odus that say that we should not expose our Ori. So if we look at it, right, what is that? Certain things about our character, right? We should not expose, right? Because that's a part of our Ori. What about our plan, right? What about our plan, right? Where we're going next week or next month or next year? What is our long term goals? There's certain people that we should not share that information. They may not understand why you've made the decisions and the focus that you made. You know, not everybody agrees. It's just a part of life. So to protect those things, right? To protect one's destiny, to kind of like remind us to keep a lid on it, right? Because we believe in receiving energy through the head, through the crown. So how many chakras are there in the body, right? There's even the third eye. Is there seven?
Actually, more than that.
Well, no, just the main ones, right? Up and down the spinal cord. I think there's six. I think there's six, and the seventh one being above the head, but there's two at least above the head. Yeah, seven main. So, right, these are correspond with the Orisha. We talked about this a couple of years. Uh, but right, so that the energy flows, Kundalini, the energy is flowing through all these chakras and out our crown. Right, we have to filter out what we receive and what we don't. Because remember, right, as Ewegbemi says what? That we receive the good and the bad when we're in the state of attraction. Right? Ewegbemi, Obalara was told to stay home, right? And not to be out, like chasing. To be at home is to be in receiving where he won't miss his blessing when the blessing arrives. So these Odus show us that there's a two-way street with energy. So because there's this give and take, we got the right leg and the left leg, the primary Odu, the Omo Iya, we got the example of men and women, right? There's the way that this energy flows. All energy flows. The reflecting of light and things like that, right? All these things. And so what is important that we protect our Ori against some of those less savory things. So it tells us again in this Odu Ifa, right? Plenty of pebbles for what Shango used to destroy his enemy, right? Rains down from above. Those negative thoughts, those feelings of depression, loneliness, right? unworthiness, worthlessness, all those things, right? These are the things that we return because they're not naturally of us. Yeah, no, I get it, right? Some of us conditioned to think certain ways, but certain emotions, right? We become somebody implants those first. Think about everything that you've ever felt, right? Has been given to you by someone else. Someone taught you how to feel about drinking cow's milk. Someone has taught you how to feel about what you wear. Someone has taught you how to sleep, how to make the bed, how to wipe your butt, how to do this or that. Someone has given it to you. If we can keep a lid on it, right, we can decide what we want and what we don't want, what things we take with us and what things we don't. And let us have peace, protect our thought and our consciousness, our destiny, our plan. Ashe. Anybody else?
Nothing else.